Okay, so I'm going to try to make this one quick, 'cause, again, I'm running late with this vlog. These are my thoughts on the latest episode of Korra. I'm thinking it's episode 6, I've lost count just now, called The Sting. And on the whole, I'm finally starting to get excited in this season. It was another episode that jumped around a lot like last one, but there's a lot more interesting things happening with the plot. So let me do a quick summary. There's nothing with Tenzin, nothing with him and his family at the Southern Air Temple. Little disappointing, but I won't be picky about that. So in the last episode, Asami agreed that she'd bring her business back up by selling all of her leftover mech tanks to the Southern Water Tribe, and Varys was the one organizing this. But the ships start to get attacked by waterbenders. We don't know who. So the ships are going down, and not only is she still losing money, now she's losing the few things that she has left to finance her company. So that's bad. So there's that. Mako is still thinking there's more to this than meets the eye, like this is a conspiracy that's going deeper. And Lin Bei Fong and her two cohorts, who are surprisingly obsessed with their mustaches, don't believe him. And they're refusing to follow him up on his leads. So in the big... on top of that, Bolin is continuing to be a movie star. And his bits really just revolve around that. Which are kind of funny. I am still disappointed that Bolin is just being the stupid guy. But it is kind of, as someone who does theater and who is an actor on the side... it's interesting to see someone who's never been an actor before try to and not go into acting and not realize that there is a difference between what you do on screen or on stage and how you are off stage. And it completely goes over his head, like, but you acted that way during the scene because I was acting. So that's kind of funny. So that's the main thrust of the story, and the big thing that happens involves Mako and Asami, who may or may not be getting back together. I'm gonna let that be. Anyway, so the two of them, they try to get Bolin to help them, but Bolin's off being a movie star, so they can't get police support to figure out what's going on. But they get Varys. They decide to set up a decoy so they could capture some of the people who are taking out Asami's ships and get them to tell them what's going on. So Varys gives them a ship. They go to the Mafia to get hired muscle. Okay. Police detective. As others have pointed out, there's some very weird decisions and character traits being displayed in this season that were not, like Lin Bei Fong not being very let's go out and get them in her approach to this. Something that other vlogs have brought up. Mako going back to the Mafia, weird. But they get some hard hints, but when they're out on the ship and they're trying to get the decoy set up, Mako overhears them talking about how this is clearly a decoy. And so he grabs Asami like, we've been tricked. They get off the boat. There's a really good chase scene. They go back to the warehouse where the mech tanks they're all gone. And Asami then reveals that was it. That was all she had left. So she's once again kind of hitting rock bottom. Not only is her dad in jail, but her company is now completely ruined. So I hope they do something with that. I hope that they keep her in this story. But the big twist, there's two big twists that it ends on. So Mako is still bewildered, like who sold us out, who bought out the Mafia over us, who's really been behind these attacks, and the seizing of these cargo ships. So, and on top of that, he's still curious about a remote detonator he found at the site of the attack from a couple episodes ago. If any of you all remember that. So, he has a breakthrough when he's on the set watching Bolin's movie get made. He notices that they're detonating these explosives on set remotely, and so he goes up to one of the tech guys and he's like, "How are you doing that?" So he says, "Oh, it's a remote detonating device. Varys just invented it, and it's the same one from the attack." So now I'm really interested because I was really enjoying Varys up till now. Now I'm freaking loving Varys, and I'm now really interested to see what his deal is. Because before now, he's just been like a goofy Gilded Age-esque parody of various business leaders, but now he's looking to be like a really interesting character, and maybe he is the real villain behind everything. So that part's interesting. So there's the way they sort of kind of confirm this when he goes to Asami and he finds Varys there is very well done. I like the turning around in the chair, and I like the very knowing look that Varys gives him. And Asami is clueless. So, aside from Tenzin, all my favorite characters are not being treated very well in this season. But the next big twist is Korra gets washed up on the beach. How'd she end up there? Why? We don't know. But she's apparently on the island, or one of the islands, where the Fire Sages, who of course serve the Avatar, reside, and she has lost her memory. So, so that's my summary of the episode. What do I think of it as a whole? Like the last one, it does jump around a lot, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere until the very end, when they bring in the twist with Varric, and with Korra. And that was very well done by the end. So it sort of makes up for how the past few episodes have kind of been rambling, and they have seemed very unfocused. I'm not the only one who's mentioned this. The Walker brothers and their vlogs have talked about this. And I feel the same way, that this has been a much more unfocused season. But it looks like they are starting to pick things up. It doesn't excuse a lot of the terrible decisions that a lot of the characters have been making, especially Korra. But it is starting to really get interesting. So hopefully we're now the second half, sort of like with the last season. I felt that the first season of Legend of Korra also really kicked off in the second half. So it looks like that might be the deal here too. I know that we're getting 2 episodes next Friday, which look like they're going to delve into the first Avatar. Very excited about that. That should be really interesting. Funny thing is, in the last shot, when they cut to Korra lying just bruised and broken on the beach, and she hadn't been the entire episode up till then. Without even thinking, I put on my best Tommy Wiseau impersonation. The first words out of my mouth were, "Oh, hi, Korra." We go the whole episode, no one even, she's barely mentioned. Asami finds out about the breakup and then kisses Mako later. Oh my god, Asami. Anyway. We cut to her at the end, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, hi Korra. You're in this show too." But like I said, I am intrigued. They're gonna need to explain how being eaten by a spirit ended up with her being on a beach and with amnesia, because that's a bit of a stretch to not address that. So I hope they do, just for my sanity's sake. Not much else to say about this episode. Like I said, I thought it was okay, and it was just sort of going right up till the end, and then I was like, oh, interesting plot developments. So I expect I'm going to have a lot more to say after next week, because we will have 2 new episodes to cover, and hopefully with that they'll build more onto these plot twists, and we'll have some more real movement in the story. So yeah, it was a good episode, better than Peacemakers. No efforts at open revolt. So yeah, this is a shorter one. But I guess we'll see how the beginnings parts 1 and 2 turn out. I think those are the names. So yep, that one will also probably be late, so I will apologize for that ahead of time. So till then.